Hey everyone, ever feel like you're drowning in admin work instead of, actually doing the work you love?
Happens to the best of us.
Well, today we're going to dive deep into how to escape that admin black hole, especially for you contractors out there working in the field.
We've got some great sources lined up, all about tools and techniques for contractors specifically.
Think scheduling sanity, invoices that actually get you paid, and ways to make clients feel like you've got a personal assistant on call 24/7.
The interesting thing is we think of admin work as like this necessary evil,
Hmm.
but the sources we found really emphasize how, when done right, it can be a game changer for your whole business.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So where do we start?
Let's tackle the one that causes most contractors the biggest headache.
You mean scheduling.
Bingo.
Hmm.
Juggling client appointments, deliveries, and let's be honest, trying to have some semblance of a life outside work.
Oh, tell me about it. My calendar is like a war zone some weeks.
We'll get this. One of the sources, a case study on a contractor just like you, found they were losing around 10 hours every week just to scheduling chaos.
10 hours? That's insane. What were they doing to fix it?
They started using a centralized scheduling tool, and the results were pretty amazing.
I'm all yours, not just a calendar app, right?
No.
Ah,
This had automatic reminders, both for the contractor and the client, real-time adjustments, so you don't throw the whole day off if something changes.
yeah.
Even integration with mapping software so you can plan your routes efficiently.
Okay, I see where this is going. No more frantic calls because I forgot about a meeting. No more crisscrossing the city because I didn't plan my route well. I'm guessing clients are a lot happier too.
You bet. The case study showed client satisfaction went way up. Think about it. You're consistently on time, prepared, not scrambling to reschedule at the last minute. Builds trust, professionalism.
So basically, having your act together makes you look good. Who knew? But good scheduling only gets you so far if you're not getting paid right. And that brings us to the dreaded I word. Ugh, yeah. I always feel like I'm chasing down payments.
We found some eye-opening stats on that in a white paper about tech in the construction industry. Apparently, almost 60% of contractors deal with late payments, and about a quarter have even had to write off bad debt completely.
Ouch, those are not the kind of numbers I want to see. So how do we turn this around?
This is where automated invoicing comes in. It's not just about digital invoices. Think automatic payment reminders, no more awkward phone calls, no more feeling like you're hounding people for money. Clients can even pay right away using platforms like Stripe.
Stripe, I've heard of it. Remind me, what's that exactly?
So Stripe is this platform that lets businesses take credit card payments, both online and in person. Handles all the security, all the transaction stuff so you don't have to.
Sounds like having a virtual cashier that never sleeps.
Exactly. And the cool part is, it often integrates directly with these invoicing tools. So you finish the job, the system makes the invoice and sends it off. Client pays right there. No paper, no hassle, and way less chance of payments getting lost in the shuffle.
I'm starting to think automation might be my new best friend. Okay, so let's say the money's coming in, the schedule's running smooth. What's the next admin beast we need to slay?
Let's talk about keeping track of your clients. You know that feeling when you're trying to remember details from a past project or trying to find that one email buried in your inbox?
Don't I ever. It makes me look so disorganized, even though I know the information is somewhere.
One report called this client information fragmentation. And they found it can really hurt your business, not just wasting time, but causing miscommunication, missed opportunities, can even damage your relationships with clients.
So how do we go from scattered mess to client management bliss? What's the secret?
This is where those centralized client management systems come in. Think of them like a CRM, but made just for contractors.
Okay, hold on. Got to break this down for me. What's a CRM? I'm more familiar with hammers than business jargon.
Fair enough. A CRM is basically a central hub for all your client info, contact details, past projects, communication logs, all organized, easily accessible.
Instead of having it all over the place, emails, notes, spreadsheets, it's all in one spot. I can get behind that. But what makes the contractor CRMs different than the ones those big companies use?
Good question. They're made to solve the unique problems contractors have, so they'll often connect with those scheduling and invoicing tools we talked about. Some even help manage estimates and proposals, track job progress, or send those automated follow-ups to keep clients happy.
Sounds less like a filing cabinet and more like having a personal assistant for each client. But I bet these things cost an arm and a leg, right?
Not necessarily. A lot of them have different pricing levels, depending on how big your business is and what features you need. Some even have free versions for people just starting out or small teams.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm sensing a theme here. It's not about the tools themselves, it's finding the ones that work for you and your budget. But even with the best tools, things can slip through the cracks. Especially when you're out in the field, it's hard to keep track of every little detail on every job.
You're right, and that's a perfect lead into our next topic, which is keeping track of your jobs in real time. And it's not just about knowing what's happening on a site, but having that info at your fingertips no matter where you are.
This is where I think we've come a long way. I remember spending hours on the phone, trying to get updates from my team, feeling like I was always playing catch up.
And that can really cost you, both in terms of time wasted and, hitting your budget. We saw one study, it focused on residential construction and found that those real-time job tracking tools helped cut down on those budget overruns, like by 8% on average.
8%, that's not nothing. But for me, I think the biggest appeal is just knowing what's going on. It's that peace of mind, like finally getting organized after years of chaos.
I get it. And it goes beyond just feeling organized. It's having the data to actually make smarter decisions. A lot of these systems have reporting features. They can help you see where the bottlenecks are, how you're using materials, even track your team's productivity.
So it's not just about putting out fires, it's about figuring out how to prevent them in the first place.
Right. It's about using those tools to make your whole operation smoother, more efficient, and, yeah, more profitable.
Well, since we're talking about strategy, one thing that's been on my mind is how to get better at communicating with clients.
That's huge, for sure. One of the surveys we found, it was all about client satisfaction in construction. And you know what the biggest factor was in whether a client would recommend a contractor?
Don't keep me in suspense.
Communication. Plain and simple.
I guess it makes sense. People want to feel like they're in the loop, their concerns matter. They don't want to feel like just another number on a job list.
And the research is showing that client expectations are changing. They're used to instant communication, that personal touch, transparency, and they're starting to expect the same from their contractors.
So how do we keep up? It already feels like a juggling act between managing projects, dealing with surprises, and trying to stay on top of all the communication.
One of the things that kept coming up was this idea of client portals.
I've heard of those, but I always thought they were more for the big companies with those giant projects. Can a smaller contractor really benefit from something like that?
Absolutely. What's cool is that they can be adjusted to fit any kind of business.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a central spot for all your client communication and information.
So instead of having emails all over, texts, phone calls, notes scribbled on who knows what, it's all in one place. Both the contractor and the client can see it.
Exactly. Clients can log in, see their schedules, look at invoices, the contract, even photos or videos of the progress. It creates this transparency, this accountability, which can really build trust.
Okay, that would be a game changer. No more digging through my inbox for that one email thread or trying to remember if I sent an update last week. But what about those times when a client just has a quick question, something urgent?
That's where those real-time communication tools come in. A lot of these client portals have messaging built in, but you could also use things like Slack, Microsoft Teams, even good old text messaging. The key is setting clear expectations with the client about how and when you'll be available.
So it's about having that main hub for information, but also being there for those quick check-ins or when something comes up that can't wait.
Exactly. And it's worth noting, some of these systems for managing clients and communication, they actually connect with the scheduling and invoicing tools we talked about earlier.
So it's all starting to come together, a real system. Streamline scheduling, those automated invoices, keeping track of clients, and making sure communication is smooth.
The goal is to build a system that works for you, reduces that stress, and frees up your time and energy.
Speaking of which, there's one topic that's always on my mind but never seems to get enough attention: work-life balance.
I hear you. Finding that sweet spot between having a successful business and actually having a life outside of work, it's a struggle.
A constant struggle.
It came up in a lot of the research we looked at, too. One study, it was by some psychologists who specialize in burnout, and they found that contractors are actually really susceptible to this work-life imbalance.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
The job is demanding. There's pressure to always be available.
And if you're the one running the show, it's hard to just turn it off mentally. But here's the interesting part. They found that contractors who were using technology well to streamline all that admin stuff, they reported feeling way less stressed, less burned out.
So it's not just about saving time, it's about lightening that mental load, not feeling like you're juggling a million things 24/7.
Right, and it goes beyond that. When you're not bogged down by all that admin work, you have more energy for the things that actually bring you joy. spending time with family, hobbies, or just taking a break without feeling guilty.
Okay, that less guilt part, I'm definitely on board with that. But I have to admit, I get nervous about disconnecting from the business completely. It feels like the second I do, something's going to go wrong.
That's totally understandable. But here's the thing. Technology can actually help you be more present, both at work, A&D, and your personal life.
Now, that's an interesting thought. How does that work?
Think about it. When you have those systems in place, the ones that automate stuff, keep you organized, let you see information from anywhere, you can relax a bit, knowing things are running smoothly, even when you're not there watching every little thing.
So it's about trusting the systems you've built so you can actually step away without panicking.
Exactly. And when you can truly disconnect, recharge, you come back to work feeling refreshed, more focused.
I like that. Maybe a little distance really does make the heart grow fonder. But it's not just about taking breaks, right? It's about being able to fit work and life together in a way that feels sustainable.
You got it. And that's where having that mobile access is so key. A lot of the research talked about how important it is to have tools that let you run your business from anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, I can't even imagine doing this job without being able to check my schedule, my invoices, client info, all from my phone. But how's this mobile access really changing things for contractors?
Well, for one, it's blurring the lines between work and life. You're not tied to your desk anymore. Answer client questions, look at project updates, even approve invoices, all while you're on the go.
Like having your whole office in your pocket. But does that mean you're always connected, never really able to switch off?
It's a valid concern. Boundaries are important. But the good thing about mobile access is you get to choose when and how you engage with work.
So it's not about being available 24/7. It's about having the freedom to manage your time in a way that works for you.
Right on. And that flexibility can be a lifesaver for contractors, especially when you've got multiple projects, family stuff, and, the desire to have some kind of life outside of work.
Finding that balance is key, isn't it? Using technology to make things easier, not to run your life. But even with the best tools, the best intentions, there's going to be a learning curve, right?
Oh, for sure. One mistake I see a lot of contractors make is thinking that technology is like this magic solution, that it's going to solve all their problems instantly. The truth is, it takes time, effort to make those new systems work and to change how you work to really get the most out of them.
So it's not just about downloading the app, it's about figuring out how it fits into your whole business strategy, making sure you're using it to its full potential. But for those contractors who are willing to put in the work, I bet the payoff is huge, right?
Absolutely. One of the studies we looked at followed contractors over a long period of time, and they found that the ones who really embraced technology, who were always looking for ways to streamline their operations, they consistently did better. More revenue, happier clients, and overall they were more satisfied with their businesses.
That's pretty convincing.
Yeah.
But I know for some folks, change is scary, especially when it comes to technology.
I get it. But the good news is, most of these tools are made to be user-friendly. They're intuitive, easy to figure out, and usually they have great customer support to help you if you get stuck.
So you don't have to be a tech whiz to make this work. It's about finding the right tools and having the support to learn how to use them.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to start small. What's one area that's really causing you headaches? Scheduling, invoicing. Find a tool that specifically tackles that. Get comfortable with it, and then you can start adding more tools to your toolkit.
One step at a time, building that momentum. That's great advice. And hey, you don't have to figure this out all alone, right?
Right. There are tons of resources out there. Online forums, communities, even industry events and workshops.
And of course, we'll be sharing links to some of the specific tools and resources we talked about in the show notes for this episode.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought. In a world where we're constantly pushed to do more, work harder, be always on, remember that working smarter isn't just a productivity trick. It's a way to build a more fulfilling and sustainable way of life.
That's a great way to put it. So, to all our contractor friends out there, embrace the power of technology, streamline those annoying admin tasks, and get back to the work that truly matters.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, stay curious, stay productive, and keep diving deep.
And sometimes having all this technology around, it can feel like it's making things more complicated, not simpler.
Yeah, that's true. It's like there's always some new tool, some new platform coming out, and it's hard to know which ones are actually worth it.
It's easy to get distracted by all the shiny new things, for sure. And then you end up with a bunch of apps you never use.
Exactly. So how do we figure out what's actually going to make a difference in our businesses?
One thing that came up a lot in the research was to focus on those pain points. What are the admin tasks that are eating up your time, causing the most headaches, or even holding you back from growing your business?
So instead of trying to do everything at once, start with the things that are really bugging you.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. It feels a lot less overwhelming that way.
Right. And once you know what those problem areas are, then you can start looking for tools that are made to fix them.
Makes sense.
And don't be afraid to ask other contractors what they're using, read reviews, even try out some free trials before you commit to paying for something.
It's like test driving a car, right? You got to
Yes.
make sure it's a good fit. But even with the right tools, there's going to be a bit of a learning curve, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I consider myself pretty tech savvy, but sometimes I still get frustrated trying to figure out a new app or platform.
One of the studies we looked at actually found that not having enough training or support, that was one of the biggest things stopping contractors from using technology.
So it's not enough to just have the tools, you got to know how to use them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where things like online tutorials, webinars, even one-on-one coaching can be really helpful. And don't forget about the customer support for those tools. Most of them are really happy to help you figure things out.
It's like having a tech expert on call, which is pretty handy. But I think it goes beyond just the technical stuff, too. I think there's a mindset shift that needs to happen, especially for those contractors who have been doing things a certain way for a long time.
You mean the ones who are used to doing things the old-fashioned way?
Yeah, there's a sense of pride in that, right? In craftsmanship, in tradition.
I get it. But one of the things that came up in the research was this idea that you can embrace technology without losing those values.
So it's not about replacing skilled labor with robots. It's about using technology to make the work we do even better.
Exactly. It's about working smarter, not harder. Freeing yourself up from those tedious tasks so you can focus on the parts of your work that need creativity, problem solving, those human skills.
I love that. Working smarter, not harder. That should be on a t-shirt. And at the end of the day, that's what this whole deep dive has been about, right? Finding ways to make running a business more efficient, more profitable, and, more enjoyable.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And even though we covered a lot today, all that stuff about scheduling, invoicing, clients, even work-life balance, it feels like we're just scratching the surface.
There's always more to learn, new things to try.
Always evolving.
Exactly. So as we wrap up, I just want to encourage everyone listening to stay curious, be open to new ideas, and never stop looking for ways to improve.
And remember, you don't have to do this alone. There's a whole community of contractors out there, all facing the same challenges, ready to support each other.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, stay curious, stay productive, and keep diving deep.